Nothing like a nice ramble in the Scottish countryside to get away from all those spoilers. Wait a minute. What's that? Oh, it's a spoiler. It's the movie Dog Soldiers. Oh no, they're everywhere. Oh no!
Welcome to Diabolical, the show where four long-suffering friends dissect film's most dastardly schemes, then try to improve them. I'm your host, Adam, and this week's movie is British budget horror Dog Soldiers. So, dear listeners, open your mouth, watch the ears, mind your toes, and let's get diabolical. Greetings, and welcome to this week's pod, and, more importantly, the start of Season 3! Yes, we know, we'd never thought we'd make it this far either. This season, we're making a small change to the scoring system, which we'll tell you all about later. For now, joining me, as always, are my friends and fellow podcasters in their guise as the panel Peril. So, chaps, please introduce yourselves and tell me, what is your favourite werewolf transformation scene?
Craig here, a.k.a. as Count-Attacula.
No, you can't say your own name. It's illegal.
Call myself what I want.
It's illegal.
I'll give myself a compliment. Look at those brows. Craig here, a.k.a. as Count-Attacula. My favourite werewolf transformation scene, I mean, if I'd be lying if I said it wasn't an American Werewolf in London, but looking at a few different werewolf transformations this week, I have to say that the one that you shared with us, Turner, the Hemlock Grove one, I loved. What I love about it is the way his human teeth come out.
Yeah.
That's how I always imagined I would do it if it was up to me. Human teeth come out first. And yeah, I thought it was really cool.
I saw that one as well, and I thought that's a really nice, up-to-date one. It's Eli Roth, isn't it? Hemlock Grove. I was like, all right, that's quite nice. I'll watch that, I think. Gaz, do you want to go next? Because you said you've got a bit of a left field one to me last week.
There are those who call me Gaz, and my favourite werewolf transformation scene, Stephen Sommers' really shit film Van Helsing, where the werewolf person rips his own skin off to become a werewolf.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes, very good.
Is it great, Craig? Oh no, I called you Craig. It's Count-Attacula.
Oh!
Just need a compliment. It's fine.
I would love to fondle your man boobs. Is that a compliment or just
That's more of a statement of intent.
A backhanded compliment.
Adam here. I'm going to say my favourite transformation scene is the one in The Howling, because it's just a bit crazy, really, and it's like where his face starts to bubble up and things like that, and his eyes start to poke out and blood starts to come out and things like that. It's really good, and it's Robert Picardo as well,
isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plain old Ben here.
Ready, sold.
My favourite werewolf transformation is, of course, the John Landis classic, Michael Jackson in the Thriller video, the full-length one.
Oh, yeah, it's good, that one, isn't it?
I'm not like other boys. Or whatever he says.
I just love the way he sits in the cinema eating popcorn with a smile.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like physics should prevent that popcorn from staying in his mouth because it doesn't close, but it just doesn't spill a drop.
Truly Michael Jackson's greatest talent.
I bet he didn't eat any popcorn, and that's special effects. That's where all the budget for the video went.
Just like those cursed by lycanthropy, Yare or Mare appears but once a month to conduct its carnivorous lunar activity against the subject matter of my choice. So, my canine colleagues, please can I have a Yare or Mare for the following films of 2002? Signs.
Yeah.
Never seen it.
What?
It's lovely, and I think you'd love it.
It's great. It's great.
Craig's just recited the Empire Review at the time. 3 stars. It's lovely, and I think you'd love it.
The writer was just phoning it in that day with it.
Yeah, it's nice, lovely. Yeah.
They'd already hit the word count for the issue. So.
Yeah. Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
1 hour photo.
Never seen it.
Never seen it.
Never seen
Never
it?
seen it.
Oh, I like it. It's good. It's, the premise of it all. Yeah.
Yeah. Guy takes his photos to be developed, accidentally leaves a picture of his cock in there. Or is it on purpose?
That's it, yeah.
Is that the twist? The dick pic was meant to be in there all along.
No. Gangs of New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Road to Perdition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meh.
Never seen it.
Very good. I like it a lot. And last but not least, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meh.
Dog soldiers centres on a British Army unit engaged on a training exercise in Scotland, who believe they are up against a Special Forces unit. Things start to go wrong when the Army unit discover the grisly remains of the Special Forces they were supposed to be facing, and severely injured survivor Captain Ryan. Finding themselves under attack by some large animals, they flee into the path of mysterious zoologist Megan, and they retreat to a cottage owned by the only family in the glen, no less, where they consider their next move while beset by the foul creatures. Released in the UK on the 10th of May 2002, it received a generally positive reception and a very favourable 4 out of 5 from Empire magazine. But what do we think? Ben, does Dog Soldiers have you drooling in anticipation or howling at the moon in frustration?
For me, it was a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. I thought the story, the mystery behind the werewolves was still kind of fresh, and that's what kept me engaged. And I think it was a great decision to avoid CGI and use makeup and bodysuits for the werewolves. I think that made them feel authentic still. Probably low-budget CGI from 2002 would have dated horribly, so it was definitely a good decision there.
Yeah.
There's some great jump scares, but then on the other side of it, I thought there was like some of the performances were pretty poor, or at least I didn't buy the banter. It felt quite forced. Particularly the football stuff didn't feel real. It felt like a facsimile of what someone who thinks they've heard football banter in the pub might think it sound like. Do you know what I mean? It didn't quite sound right to me. And then there was some editing and shot continuity that felt jarring at times. Particularly some of the crossfades felt a bit rushed. It's like they didn't leave themselves enough buffer either side of a take to fade kind of naturally. And some of the continuity, some of the jumps from like you'd have one angle, then you'd jump to another angle, but the position would be different. It felt almost like Dark Place in sometimes. But yeah, that's not to detract what Neil Marshall achieved with the film. You know, right in it. He got it funded, shot it, edited it. I think it's all very impressive for an indie movie. And I read that he was trying to do like Aliens, but with werewolves. And I think he probably accomplished that, albeit on kind of a smaller scale.
Yeah. There's loads of little Aliens references in there as well, if you can spot them. Some are quite small.
Yeah, I didn't see any of them.
Gaz, what do you think? And did you see any of the Alien references?
No. So the Matrix reference.
Yeah. Everyone knows that.
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon.
Yeah.
My thoughts on the film quite similar to Ben's. The banter is quite cringeworthy at points, sort of ultra laddish, sort of mid-1990s laddish banter is the kind of thing that I still take the piss out of imitating around the house today. The practical effects are fantastic. I watched this one with Dylan for the first time in a long time, and during the sequence where the werewolf comes through the window to attack Sean Pertwee, and you get finally the full head to toe shot.
Yeah.
He looked over at me with a smile on his face and just went, wow.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it looks actually really good.
Yeah.
As long as you see it fleetingly.
Yeah.
Because they look kind of like they're slow motion ballerinas when they're moving, don't they? It's a really weird movement.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is very effective on the level that it's operating at as a B movie, a cheap B movie with not really any artistic aspirations, but as a calling card to move on to bigger and better things, it's entirely successful. But it's not something that I'm probably going to be revisiting for a long time again after watching it for the first time in probably about 12 years this time around.
Yeah, fair enough. Countertacular.
Yeah, similar. I felt like it aged quite poorly, especially like the dialogue. Some of it, if we'll get onto later, I think is actually really poor. Some of it's great. What it feels like to me, it's got all the hallmarks of a first-time writer-director. It's the kind of thing I think I probably would have aspired to write at a young age, kind of like 20 years old, but looking at it now, and in the year when we were 20 as well, not now, but around that time, for nuts and zoo readers, this probably would have been the quintessential werewolf movie, but it hasn't aged well, in my opinion. And in terms of the technical side of it, there was a lot of problems with it for me. Ben mentioned the editing. I had a lot of problems with the edit as well, especially towards the start. I thought the aerial photography in the opening is quite dull, and it was too fast. And then particularly there was a sequence where Cunningham is attacked. Oh, Liam Cunningham, I probably meant. The sequence where he's attacked. The editing in that was really dodgy, I thought. But there were loads of bits about it that I really liked still. So yeah, bit of a mixed bag. I was excited to revisit it, and parts of it have held up better than others.
Yeah, I'd probably echo already what you've all said. I think I remember myself, Countertacular, and Gaz going to see it at the cinema all together. And I think we all came out at the time thinking, I think we went off the strength of the Empire review, didn't we? If my memory serves me right. Anyway,
Yeah.
we all came out and we were quite satisfied with what we'd seen. It's remarkable, really. I think I've seen The Descent, because that's Neil Marshall as well, like a few years later.
Yeah.
But other than that, I can't remember a British horror film where I've been like, oh, this is where there's a good balance of comedy, but then some brilliant moments as well. And then the special effects, the practical effects, like, to me, what he's just said about Dylan turning and looking at you is like, poof. That's what you want to, that's what we all trying to, every time we watch a film and if we hear it's going to have great effects in it, that's we've all got a 14 or 15-year-old selves sitting inside waiting to see some special practical effects that evoke that kind of reaction. And it's so rare these days. And when I watched Dog Soldiers again, I was just like, oh, this is what they should be doing. And why can't they be doing it if they can do it, on varying levels of how well it was done or not? They should be doing it. And what you're saying about the editing and stuff, I was talking to Gaz earlier in the week about it, and I was looking for the Blu-ray, but it's not done on Blu-ray in the UK. I think it's been done in the US and in Germany, and Neil Marshall has had a hand in that. And I think they've re-edited it, remastered some of it and stuff like that, and gone back and done a different shoot. But Gaz said he thinks there's a UK Blu-ray coming out in May.
Yeah, it's I forget the label, but it's got a black label imprint where classic horror films come out. They're a really
Cool.
good niche horror Blu-ray company.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember the name now. So I'll be interested to see if there's like a director's cut of that or a new cut, like a 2023 cut or something. Because I guess it's the 21st anniversary, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I think there's a real argument for just re-editing that film would improve it a lot.
Yeah.
There are some bits that could be a lot snappier, and
Yeah.
there are some bits that needed a little bit more room.
yeah. Well, I hope maybe it was down to, I think the budget was so small
Yeah.
anyway. I think it was like £2.5
Yeah.
million or something like that.
Yeah.
Didn't get all the coverage for what they needed, perhaps.
But I mean, fair play. He went out and hustled for it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Neil Marshall's gone on and he did a couple of big episodes of Game of Thrones, didn't he? Like the big battle scenes.
Yeah.
So he can handle action.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it must have been a coverage issue. That's what I felt during that scene where Liam Cunningham is attacked. I actually written, is it bad coverage? Because it feels like there was no way to edit it where it would have made sense because, the angles they shot it at don't match up.
Yeah, I think that's probably a bit of inexperience, maybe. He'd have realised in the end and gone, he didn't have money for reshoots, and he just go, well, I've got to deal with it the best way I can. I think that's what it was with quite a few of the shots. He's got, I've just got to use them.
Yeah.
But it was interesting, Gaz, what you said about the fleeting looks at the werewolf really mirrored Alien. I thought, you get those little snippets until the very last few moments, and then it reveals itself. So you could see that was definitely a blueprint that he used.
Yeah, it's a smart way to do it, isn't it? With the man in a suit, just have your pretty much your single money shot and just glimpses otherwise.
Dylan's reaction said it all there.
Yeah.
That's what you want. You want to build it up in their mind first, get them kind of fretting about it, and then the one reveal at the end. And
the extreme of that is obviously Predator, isn't it? Where it's actually invisible for most of the film, and then the first time you see it, it's got the face mask on. When it takes it off, it's incredible. Like you've never seen anything like it, and it looks real. The movement of it and everything.
Yeah,
less is more for sure.
Yeah, should we go on to favourite sequences?
Just as a general note, I found quite a lot of the action quite cartoonish. When he throws the torch at the guy at the start, very kind of not like a realistic bit of action.
It's trying to be sort of iconic, isn't it? And it hasn't quite got the technical capability to make it appear anything other than cheap.
Yeah. And then there's the guy who impales himself on the tree, which seems unlikely anyway. But I think this is another part.
About 200 miles an hour for that.
This is another part where I feel like the editing would really improve it, because he runs into it so slowly from a viewer's perspective. If they cut that super quick, you'd buy it up a lot more. Yeah. But there are some bits that I think are great. I like the dog chewing Sean Pertwee's guts.
Yeah. That's brilliant. I've got that as a highlight.
And when they drop the cow, I think that's really cool.
That's the jump scare I was alluded to in my review earlier.
Right,
it was brilliant. It just really caught me off guard because I couldn't remember the film that well.
Reminiscent of Predator, that bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
I tell you, one of the scariest parts, it was right at the start in the tent. If you've ever been camping, the idea of the tent zip opening by itself is terrifying.
That's good, that, isn't it? Yeah,
it really sets the scene nicely.
Although Chekhov's silver letter opener is a bit on the nose, isn't it?
Yeah. That's very clearly signposted. I think Dylan looked over at me, rolling his eyes when that happened.
Speaking of the cow drop, the story that Sean Pertwee tells about his friend getting blown up and leaving the devil tattoo, I think that's one of my favourite moments.
Yeah.
He sells that story really well, and you kind of get drawn into it, and it's a cool story.
He's probably the actor that nails the correct tone best in the film, isn't he? Because his laddish banter, he does it with a bit of a twinkle rather than trying to actually sound laddish. It's kind of parodic and not taking it as seriously as some of the other actors do.
Yeah, very tongue-in-cheek when they get to the sort of showdown part of the film, when it's the wolves are attacking in the house. He's the one playing that for laughs, and I think that's the right way to do it.
Yeah,
his quality shines through, actually.
Yeah,
especially compared to some of the other soldiers who are obviously a little bit less experienced.
Yeah,
he has one of the best lines as well, which we'll come to in the best lines part.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah. I found that whole farmhouse sequence quite reminiscent of Resident Evil. Do you guys?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. The staving off the hordes for as long as possible.
Yeah, and putting the furniture in front of the windows and stuff. It's funny that the werewolves in that sequence are able to tear apart a Land Rover but can't get in the house through a wooden door.
Take the engine out
their
of the
own
car,
house, mind you. Surely they know where the key is, hidden under the rock or whatever.
Under the plant.
Under the plant pot next to it. Yeah,
you got to jiggle the door. You got to jiggle it. Don't try and force it.
I am jiggling it.
Turn it topwise.
I'll tell you what, one bit that I thought was really stupid is Cooper's reaction to seeing Megan's hair for the first time. When she takes her hat off when they get to the house. He looks at her like he's just realised she's a woman. and that she's attractive.
Hold your horses.
What I was enjoying all the way through was just thinking when Neil Marshall shot, I think he did the Battle of the Bastards episode of Game of Thrones.
Yes, he did, yeah.
I was thinking, I was trying to remember whether the Onion Knight was in it, Sir Davos.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a nice little reunion, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Captain Ryan.
I think he might be. Yeah, he's amazing with accents, by the way, isn't he? There's like a Geordie accent in Game of Thrones. His real accent's like Irish.
Oh, is it really? But yeah, I would have said for all the world, dude, was a Geordie.
Yeah, it's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you buy the reveal that Meghan knows Ryan? Because to me, it felt really unearned and like false.
It's they share a couple of glances, don't they, throughout the film? Throughout it.
There was no breadcrumbs leading us to that. I didn't think so. It was a bit weird.
There was. They were looking at each other a few times and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Although you notice when she takes off her jacket and she's wearing a t-shirt, that her scar is really visible in one shot. I don't know if it was like, hey, when you watch this again, you'll notice that she has a scar from a wolf attack, and you'll feel stupid that you didn't realize, that kind of thing. I think that covers every note that I have.
I've got one more, and it was the sword in the teeth. The sound of that was God,
it's brilliant.
Oh man,
yeah.
That's probably my favourite moment.
Oh really?
Yeah, I've got that. It's great. It is great.
Yeah, just grinding through his teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds quite sexual when I phrase it like that, I suppose. Unintended, I assure you, peril bells.
Overall, I felt like that whole siege felt weirdly flat. I think one of the reasons is that the music is really low in the mix. You know, it's like incidental music and you can barely hear it. And it just doesn't feel like there's much going on.
It did sag at times, yeah. It was very up and down. I think the idea was to do it in waves, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was difficult to sustain the length of a movie where it's mostly a siege and there are creatures that by all rights should just break in and cause a ruck, but they seem to disappear for prolonged periods to have a chat about, this approach didn't work, did it? What should we do next time? Should we try and knock on the door?
I've heard huffing and puffing houses down works.
Very good.
So, chaps, favourite lines?
On the whole, I feel like this was full of lots of terrible pop culture references in the dialogue. You know, trying to kind of ape probably that Joss Whedon style that was popular at the time, but not quite getting it.
It dated it terribly, didn't it?
Yeah. My favourite line, which I think you probably guessed earlier, is when Sean Pertwee, his guts are out and they're trying to put him back in. He goes, they're not going to fucking fit.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But I think he's got one line that's even better than that. He condenses it down to a word and he just shouts, sausages.
There's another bit when they're trying to knock him out to seal him up with the super glue. And just the first punch and he like plants and then he gets straight back up and he's like, you fucking bossy. And it's what I'm again. It's just, it's really funny how he sprawls out on the bed.
Yeah.
I love I hope I give you the shit, you fucking wimp.
Yeah.
That's a great line. There's another one where he says, dogs, more like pussies.
My favourite bit is like when he realises he's left his watch behind in barracks. He goes, "Oh, here you go." He's like, "What about you, Sarge?" Well, I count. Just where he just the delivery is just brilliant. It's so good, and Sean Pertwee gets the best lines throughout. Even when he's tied down to the bed, and they're trying to glue him up and all that, and he's fucking hell, and it's like you rarely see somebody portray absolute agony on screen like he does throughout that bit. And then when they get attacked and the werewolf's grabbing one of them and I think Spoon chops off the arm with the sword, and the guy just goes, "Cheers, mate." I just think the littlest tiny bits of dialogue like that work are those little tiny bits where it's just like off the cuff. Yeah, and then when Joe is in the Land Rover and he backs it up and sits there and you just see the breath going, and you're like, "Oh, you're behind me, aren't you?" It's like, "Oh, fuck." That every time that gets me. It's like, ugh, it's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
My favourite are the dumb horror movie dialogue where you're just like, stop speaking in fucking riddles, will you? But in a good way. When Cunningham has been attacked at the start and they go, who did this? And he's just like, there was only supposed to be one. Yeah. One what? They tore them to pieces. What did? Just fucking tell us the truth. I love all that stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
I've got 2 lines that I hate. Has anyone else got any lines that they really don't like?
No.
I'll tell you mine first. I might spur you on. So they're both from Megan. They're both in the same bit. And she says, I'm the real bitch. And she also says, it's that time of the month.
Ooh,
and I vomited on myself when she said that.
Good job you were wearing your bib.
I mean, talk about your nuts and zoo dialogue and things a woman would never say in real life, but that men think they would say. Oh, I'm having a woman's period. I thought that was fucking awful, personally.
Yeah, like I said before, Joe's dialogue was pretty much all bad. I don't know if it's delivered badly. I think the lines were bad, to be fair. But he was trying to do that Sir Alf Ramsey. He just, the way he delivered it was just did not buy it one bit.
I couldn't tell because I wouldn't be able to sustain a conversation about football, say, in my life.
Trouble with Arsenal is they want to walk it in.
The last thing I'll say is I like the analogy of turning when the Sergeant Cooper are talking, and it's the analogy of going for a piss or having a shit. And like you can turnings like going for a shit, you can hold it for a while, and then eventually you got to go.
Right. Maybe that'll factor into some of our plans.
Oh, maybe it will. Unbeknownst to Cooper and his cohorts, they are being used as bait by the aforementioned Captain Ryan and his special forces to lure a werewolf so they can capture and return it for evaluation at the Ministry of Defense. Unfortunately for Ryan, things go wrong very quickly and his team are attacked and wiped out in the night, leaving him as the sole survivor. Gaz, what did you think of the plot?
It's not very good, is it? Because surely he knew that they were a family. He says at the start there was only supposed to be one, but why was there only supposed to be one? Because he knows that the Uwas family, is that what they're called?
Something weird like that.
Yeah. And isn't it also him that knows that you need to kill the head werewolf?
He goes there just off the basis of her, doesn't he? And she's already been turned, hasn't she, into werewolf? So she goes and advises him and said, oh, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And she's hoping that he's the ticket out for her because she went there and then they turned her to become part of the family. And she didn't want to be a werewolf. But then it's not very clear, I guess, it really is the best description.
So is she not literally part of the family then?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought she was in the photographs and that's how they figured out it was her.
No, she took the photograph of the family.
Okay.
Yeah, I was confused by all that too. I had no idea.
Well, I'm saying it's not a good plan.
Regardless. It's not a good plan because they're all dead apart from Captain Ryan.
If he knows they're werewolves and he knows the merest bit of werewolf lore, he probably choosing the time of the full moon to come and get them wasn't a sound plan, was it?
It's awful. Any other dates on your calendar? No, Commander. All I've got's the full moon. All right then. It's like trying to arrange this podcast. Yeah, it's an awful plan. I don't even think there was a plan. He just went out there, set up camp, got ripped to pieces, and started whinging. So he gets, from me, brace yourself, boys, 1 floret of broccoli.
1 floret of broccoli? Well, at least they had machine guns and radios and stuff like that. They actually prepared.
Didn't help, did it?
I think that's your disdain for the film.
No,
probably
it's not.
Rather than actual plot analysis.
When we saw Commander Ryan, he was on his own, surrounded by guns, none of them in his hand, freaking out.
No, but that was just him having a look about, standing there going like that. Didn't show with loads of other people.
Ill prepared.
You should have brought silver bullets. Silver bullets is what you should have had. Magazines full of silver.
Should have dressed up like the Tin Man, but silver.
Yeah.
The Silver Man.
Just popped into my head.
Sarah Silverman.
On a train journey back from Birmingham to North Wales, round about when the film came out, I sat next to a squaddy on the train who, over the course of what felt like several hours, explained to me all the parts of the film that were unrealistic from a military perspective. I was just like, oh, mate.
I bet that was the best train journey ever.
Doing my head in.
Yeah, that's great. He's obviously got lots of friends if he decided to discuss that with a complete stranger on a train.
I hope he just started it off into that. There was no preamble. He just went straight into that conversation. Do you know what bits of dog soldiers are really unrealistic?
Bits of what, sorry?
Now it's for our plans. This season, we are making a small change to the scoring system. We are moving to a one-member, one-vote arrangement. This means each member of the panel of peril has one vote, and that each vote is equal to 1 point. That means we can each award 1 point to the plan we think is the best each week, and that is added to the person's total for the season. The winner will be the one with the most points at the end of episode 60. It's that simple. Other than that, it's business as usual. And no voting for yourself.
Aww.
I didn't agree to any of this.
Have we got any volunteers who want to go in first?
Get mine out of the way if you want.
Okay, Gaz, go.
I think we're all going to have the same plan. I think Gaz has realised that.
Yeah, I was kind of worried.
I don't think we are.
No,
wait.
I don't think.
Does yours involve dog shit?
If only. If only. That's a guaranteed victory. 'Tis a dog-eat-dog world out there, or so they say. But I just wonder what kind of world werewolf eat werewolf world out there is. Let's find out, Ryan. Vampire eat werewolf world out there, perhaps. This is very plausible. If the cinematic masterpiece is known as Underworld have taught us anything, 'tis that vampires is goodies with cool guns and werewolves is baddies and inferior. Yes, in this instance, 'tis a vampire eat werewolf world out there for sure. But just one problem. Vampires do not exist. No, they do not. Werewolves are the only real supernatural being. So take from the natural world we will? How about a lion then, Now I think that a lion could win a dust-up with our pesky werewolf quarry. But would you be able to control this lion in the aftermath? Doubtful. They're a tricky sort and muscly to boot. But no, it shall need to be a large animal of lion size or perhaps bigger. The penguin shall be no good. The flamingo shall be no good. The red squirrel shall be no good. The Cardi beagle shall be no good. The giraffe, although very large, shall be no good. No. Instead, cast your mind backwards to the days of your youth. Remember the things that used to play with Ryan? Those wonderful, wonderful things and stuff from your childhood? The Scrabble? The Monopoly? The Trivial Pursuit? Oh, if only they had a ticket to ride when you were a bairn. How's about the game of life? All of these comes to nothing but no, nope, and no thanks. You need hungry, hungry hippos? It does exactly what it says on the tin box. Except naturally, you need actual hippopotami with a large appetite, as opposed to the plastic children's board game tin. How would this work? You would simply raid a local zoo. You are an army man, after all, with lots of weapons, vehicles, and what have you, and collect said hippopotami in your vehicle after tranquilizing them. There is no fiercer animal in the animal kingdom than hippopotami, according to the legendary Hollywood producer John Peters. And indeed, 'tis so. The hippopotamus is a savage bugger, with massive tooths and a despicable temperament. Locate the Ua family home, push the hippopotami through the door of the home, cramming their badunkadunks through the thing, the door. When soldiers turn up, hippopotami eat them. They were bait, you see. Then when werewolves turn up, sick the hippopotami on them for massive fight. rolling around in dust clouds, scrapping the R like Andy Capp and his missus. The hippo wins, of course. It is an hippopotamus, and thus etc. and so forth. But before it can strike the killing blow, Ryan, you must hit it as hard as you can with your tranquilizer gun to render it unconscious. Unless you have any darts left, in which case do shoot it into unconsciousness. The same goes for the werewolf. Batter or shoot, whichever is most convenient. Tie the werewolf up with the really strong rope that I definitely mentioned at the start, and you've got yourself a werewolf, partner! Or do you? Yes, you do. But do you? Yes, you do.
Why the fuck did you have all the questions
That was
in it?
interminable.
I don't know. I thought it would start off funny and then get annoying and then become funny again. Whether it did or not, I don't know.
I think we'll be the
Bordered
judge of
on
that.
both the whole way.
Yeah.
It was just skirting the line.
In a nutshell, the plan is to liberate some hippopotamuses from the zoo, to eat the soldiers,
Mhm.
and fight the werewolves, but before they can kill the werewolves, to tranquilize the hippos, and then capture a werewolf that's kind of been battered.
By a hippo.
Yeah.
The hippos are just softening up the werewolves.
Yeah, they're like a steak tenderizing mallet in
Right.
animal form. You don't cook the werewolves afterwards because you're not going to eat the werewolves.
No.
You're simply going to study the werewolves,
Metaphorically
perhaps take some
speaking.
DNA. DNA will be
Oh, I
leaking all
see.
over the place by the time they've been tenderized by the hippopotamuses.
See, I thought they wanted a live werewolf. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's
You wanna
alive,
capture one.
Just been beaten up a bit.
Okay.
been severely battered.
I thought you were going to go for the Dave Lister approach and say, let the werewolves get knackered eating hippopotamuses to death, and then sneak up on them unawares and tranquilize the werewolves.
I think that would have been more effective, if I'm being honest.
No.
Like that wolf that eats the kids in that story. And then when it goes to rest underneath a tree, they cut open its belly, fill it full of stones, all the kids escape. And they sew it back up, and he goes for a drink down the well and falls in the well.
Kind of wish I'd done that as my plan.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Sounds
That's
great.
solid.
There you go. Any questions?
Is that your plan?
That's it. Just get out of the way now. I'm done.
Gaz, hippos usually attack for a specific reason. Do you know what that is?
No.
I've got a feeling that David Attenborough over there is going to
When
tell
it's
you.
in red, isn't it? They fight the guys in Spain.
It's usually when they're cut off from water, particularly if something stands between
Okay.
them and the river or water hole that they live in. They don't just attack willy-nilly.
Well, they definitely would be cut off from water where they are.
That's fair enough.
Just put
They couldn't see any water, could they?
the werewolves between the hippos and the bath in the farmhouse.
All right. Yeah, that
Yeah.
would work. Or just like one of those basins that you soak your feet in. That would do as well.
Or a slip and slide behind them.
If Richard E. Grant or one of his people are listening, please confirm the behaviour of hippopotamuses. Thank you very much.
So we have the winning plan. I trust we all agree.
Well, let's hear the others first.
Okie dokie. Ben, can we have your plan, please?
I'd like to preface my plan by saying that the accents I'm about to murder are purely fictional. Any resemblance to real-world accents is purely coincidental. It's Saturday evening at the werewolf residence. The full moon is just hours away. Did you hear there's a new restaurant opened up down the glen? Says Megan, as she flicks casually through the local paper. It's one of them Michelin star jobbies. What? Dad sprays half a cup of chai latte over the dining table. That lardy-ass bastard took a dump in the glen. Filthy, flabby shite. No, Da. It's an award they give to fancy restaurants. Says here that this place's speciality is long pig, whatever the fuck that is. I don't know why there's a winking emoji next to it, though. Oh, long pig, repeats Mum. I'm sure I've heard that somewhere before. She rummages through a pile of completed crosswords. Ah, here it is. Oh, it's an old word for human meat. Fuck me, says Dad. That sounds like the place for us. Grab your coats. Actually, leave your coats. In fact, leave all your clothes. We've been tearing through them like they're going out of fashion. Ah ha 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 ha. Ah ha 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 ha. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Ah, ha, ha, ha. The werewolf family has a reet good laugh. But seriously, you fuckers, says Dad. Leave him. It's costing me an arm and a leg. The werewolves strip off and head to the door. Megan, says Mum, what's the name of this new restaurant? Le Beast Row. Cut to a few weeks earlier. Everything is in place, Commander Ryan, sir. Good work, soldier. Run me through it one more time, just to be fucking sure as all fuck. Sir, yes, sir. The cargo container has been reinforced with unbreakable titanium shutters that can be activated as soon as the target is inside. And the container has been disguised as the kind of restaurant that hipsters would cream their beards for. Jam jars for drinking receptacles, I trust. Sir, yes, sir. Abso-fucking-marvellous. And have we secured bait? Private Jason Tubby Jenkins volunteered, sir. Excellent. Get that pudgy bastard basted and lightly spiced before we airdrop the restro trap next week. And get that flipping ad running in the local rag. Cut back to the night of the full moon. The werewolf family enters the trendy-looking establishment. It's nice. Upmarket, but with a casual vibe. The kind of place you might go on a first date. Dad nods approvingly, then spots a trussed-up squaddy on the table. He salivates, but before his drool hits the ground, titanium shutters surround the family, and they are all captured with absolutely no chance of escape. None whatsoever.
Since when were the family hipsters and be interested in eating out at a restaurant?
And aren't you gambling a bit on knowing that they would look up in a crossword to find out what long pig is?
A bit of a gamble, but I reckon Mum would have to do something like Glenn.
So a family of rural Scottish hipsters, yeah?
Yeah.
So the other question would be, Ryan seemingly doesn't know that the family are a family of werewolves because he says there was only supposed to be one.
Yeah.
And as Turner explained earlier, Megan kind of tricks him and tells him, oh, you're coming out here for one. So why would he think that he doesn't know that this werewolf is part of a family, or, you know, that they are the kind of, if in their human form, do they live there? They might live in the woods for all he knows, right?
Yeah. So he doesn't know. I wrote that assuming that he knew there was one. That's why they say the target is captured. But when a family comes in, he's happy. He's just assuming that the bait will attract a werewolf, whatever. And it's this little pink, basted and lightly spiced squaddy.
Yeah. I guess even if they don't see the newspaper ad, they'll probably smell.
Right. If they can find a tent, I figured they'd find a restaurant, a cargo container restaurant. I'd be wafting out smells as well out the window.
Like KFC does.
Yeah.
There's another slight problem, which is that someone
there isn't.
who roams far and wide, both in this country and abroad, inspecting restaurants for TV shows. And if Gordon Ramsay found this place, he would have you for garters. Like,
he'd be fucking
werewolf
livid.
hair? Why the fuck's there werewolf hair on this fucking countertop? You'd be closed down like that.
What's this long pig? It's overcooked. I wouldn't serve this to my fucking dog.
Is this frozen log pig? Is this fresh or frozen? Oh, it's frozen. Sure.
Look at the sell-by date on it.
This isn't fit for dog food, let alone a werewolf.
Turner, could I cheerfully withdraw my plan from the ballot, please?
Aggravatedly denied. Right, any further questions?
Not at this time, Your Honour.
Not at this time. Craig. Oh, sorry, you're a very dashing-looking young man at Countertacular.
Thank you.
Countertacular, would you like to present your plan next, sir?
I would. I'd love to. Ryan is an old dog, and if he wants to secure a werewolf for the eggheads back at HQ, he's going to need to learn some new tricks. He's no good at fetch. That much is now apparent, having failed to secure the asset. He's quietly mastered the art of sitting. He's been doing this now for some time, while the squaddies have been chasing their tails, trying to fend off the wolf pack that's prowling around outside. He's felt his wounds healing, but he's pretty sure nobody's noticed so far. It's apparent now what's happening to him. It's time to play dead. He paws limply at Cooper's arm as he passes, but doesn't speak, just slumps over to the ground. Naturally, Cooper will order his boys to drag Ryan upstairs to one of the beds. Once he's alone, the rest is child's play. He'll wait for his moment and escape with the asset. Himself. No longer under the stress of Cooper's interrogation, he's able to suppress the change until the boys blow up the barn. He uses the distraction to make his move, assuming his wolf form, and blocking off Wells and Cooper's escape route up the stairs. Now trapped in a pincer movement, Wells and Cooper are fucked. Anyone who survives will need to learn a new trick for the eggheads back at HQ. Roll over. There's a good boy.
So what's your plan?
He, instead of sitting in the chair all night and waiting for them to realise that he's better, he feigns illness to get them to take him up to one of the beds upstairs. Right. And then while they're distracted blowing up the barn, he then becomes a wolf. As he goes down to, he's planning to attack them or whatever, that's the time when Wells and Cooper try and get up the stairs. They can't anymore because he's blocked off their route. So Wells and Cooper get killed by him and the other members of the family, and they live out the rest of their night, however they do. What do they play cards or something? I don't know.
Eat stew.
And then in the morning, he, as a human soldier, just goes back to HQ, and he's the subject. He's secured them a live werewolf. It's himself. So
you think he cares so much about the army's cause that he would sacrifice his own life, basically?
No. Didn't say that. He'd still be alive.
Yeah, but he might be anally probed.
Exactly. He's going to spend the rest of his life in a lab.
Yeah. He's a squaddie. He's used to taking orders. He does what he's meant to do.
No, he's a commissioned officer. An arsehole.
No, he's still... he's got himself a subject. He goes back. He does what he's told. He's still an army man. Doesn't matter whether he's an officer or whatever. He still takes orders from somebody. He's not a fucking... field marshal.
Yeah, but I don't think he'll get himself. He's not going to want to be prodded and poked by people, is he? Whether he's in human.
He's been prodded and poked by people before. That's part of the job.
It's part of the allure of the job.
All he needs to do is give them. All he needs to do is let them study him. In a secure environment, they can attach cables to him. Put him on a treadmill, whatever, and they can take his blood. They can take his hair. They don't need to do anything.
How long have you been a scientist, Craig?
I've seen the X-Files where they test Homer to see what's going on with him.
I've watched a series of Quincy. I know what goes on.
They don't need to do anything to him that he's not going to be comfortable with to study him. That's not the point, is it? He's going to become an elite werewolf soldier. That's what they presumably want. If it's a military thing, they're trying to find a military application for the werewolf, trying to turn it into a weapon. So he can just make more for them. So they're not going to make his life uncomfortable. Why would they?
So he's doing it for the prestige of being this special kind of soldier then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I buy that.
Are you basing him getting them to take him upstairs as him holding off his own transformation, like holding in a shit, like they mentioned in dialogue earlier?
Ah.
When he kind of realizes that he's healing, because he's going to know that before Cooper does. He's going to realize that, oh shit, they're going to tell. I know what's happening to me. They're going to be able to see. So instead of just sitting there looking at them like he does in the film, he should go, pass out, and they take him upstairs like they did with, Sean Pertwee, and put him in a bed.
Effectively, because he's just turning into a werewolf. He's a grown man, but he's a baby werewolf. And I don't think babies are capable of holding their shit. They just shit when it needs shit. Yeah. So this baby werewolf, it's going to werewolf when it needs to werewolf.
Yeah.
Wait, how is Sean Pertwee different? Get the fuck out with that bullshit. Sean Pertwee holds it off, and he's just become a werewolf. He hasn't been a werewolf. He's not a veteran werewolf. What are you talking about?
He's absolute horseshit. He's bloody salt the earth, Sean Pertwee.
Fucking nonsense. Absolute Tommy rot.
Salt the earth can hold their shit longer than anybody.
You just got Tommy rotted, Gaz. Hope that hurts.
I'll accept flim flam or mummery, but not Tommy rot. Thank you very much.
Okie dokie. Well, we'll leave it at that then. The Ministry of Defence has many formidable weapons and resources at its disposal, not least the Science and Technology Laboratory at Porton Down in Salisbury. Yes, the lab has been at the forefront of new advances in chemical and biological countermeasures. At least, that's the official script. During the development, many tests are made on animals, and it's through these tests they have developed a particularly useful agent. Just to digress slightly, we have all heard about how Eurasian wolves are spreading across the European continent, once again being spotted as far west as Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. There has also been speculation about the plans to reintroduce wolves to the UK. How could wolves be managed in the UK? Is there something that could be manufactured to aid their control? Well, it just so happens Porton Down have considered this and have secretly been working on advanced wolf biological agent. Once this agent is released into the air, or perhaps a doggy treat, wolves are drawn hopelessly to its power. Overcome with euphoria, they enter a docile state. Rendering the wolves into this condition makes them easy to round up and transport back into the wild, or, alternatively, to be humanely destroyed. As this wonder agent proves so successful with the wolves they have at the lab, when the Ministry of Vents decide to requisition a werewolf for battlefield testing, they have the perfect weapon in their back pocket ready to use. This time, when Ryan and his team head into the wild, it doesn't matter if they have miscalculated how many wolves there are, they have the means to neutralize any number of specimens and do with them as they please. Wolf nip.
That was a really long commercial. Wolf nip.
How does Ryan find out about this agent, and why didn't he take it with him in the first place?
Because he's a soldier and he does as he's told, and, you know.
How does he learn about the agent?
It gets told by a commanding officer.
So why didn't he use it in the film?
Oh, but it's only just been invented in this one.
Is the agent real in real life? I don't know. I know the wolves are real. Is the agent real?
Well, it might be. We don't know, do we? Because it's secret.
In what year did Eurasian wolves become a problem? Is that recent news?
Well, they're not a problem. They're being reintroduced. That's what I've drawn on that.
They're moving across Europe now in the news. You said we've all heard about it.
Yes.
And did that happen in 2002 or in 2000?
Yes, that's been happening for quite some time.
Oh, I see. Okay. I don't know. Fishy.
The agent, because wolves are different to werewolves, aren't they? Just because it works on wolves doesn't necessarily mean it will work on werewolves.
Oh, it does work on these.
Oh, it just does.
Case closed.
Right, in summation, Gaz said he would get some hippos, get them to fight with the werewolves, then tranquilize the hippos before they kill the werewolves, enabling Ryan and his team to tranquilize the werewolves. Ben said he would create a human bistro, literally, and lure the family of rural Scottish hipsters into a trap which they soon be contained in titanium cages. Countertacular takes Ryan to take affirmative action in the cottage while he is tied to the chair and carefully remove himself from the cottage, allowing the army unit to be dispensed with, and then for him to return to camp as the werewolf specimen himself and return a hero. And my plan was to produce a special biological agent at the Porton Down Chemical and Biological Lab and have that used on the werewolves to disable them. Who is going to get the opening points for this episode? Place your votes now. There can be no winners. Well, there might be a winner, but it doesn't really count because you might win the battle and you lost the war.
Yeah, this is a marathon, remember, guys? It's not a sprint.
Ben, would you like to go first?
I voted for the plan that was delivered like shit, but made kind of the most sense. Gaz.
You think the hippo plan made the most sense? Interesting.
Countertacular. Would you like to reveal who is?
I'm regretting my vote, but I voted for the plan that I thought actually made sense, and that's Ben. Hippo business. That makes sense. That's not a good reason.
I mean,
bullshit.
Using hippos as a distraction for the werewolves, I think does make sense.
Yeah. Okay.
The rest of it was a bit nonsense.
All right. Okay, I'm sure you believe that.
Gaz, would you like to reveal who you vote for?
I voted for Ben. I've done a little heart.
Oh.
Quite snazzy.
And so it's an equal sharing of the points here. I voted for Gaz. So, Gaz, what are the scores on the board?
Well, with our brand new scoring system, after the first episode, in joint first place is myself and Ben. And in joint last place, dirty, dirty last place, are Adam and Count Attacula.
I'm feeling what you felt last season, Ben,
It hurts.
which is backlash.
It never stops hurting.
It's not painful. It's just like it's boring and obvious. It's like a weird backlash.
It's just come dine with me, innit, again?
It's not even come down with me now. It's just like
Love Island?
I'll just vote for the stupid hippo plan because I don't want to vote for Craig.
How dare you? How dare you? Stupid
Gaz,
hippo.
I hope you're
plan.
not going to put up with that. Stupid hippo plan. You're a stupid hippo. So, Ben, what will we be watching next week?
Next week, we're going to watch a film not about girls who know their way around. We're going to watch The Lost Boys.
Ooh.
Werewolves to vampires.
Whoa.
Ah. Weird coincidence. I watched that today.
Yeah, me too. Strange. Last night for me.
How peculiar.
How queer.
And that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Thank you for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed yourselves as much as we have.
Or
If you
hopefully
have-
more.
but not less. If you have, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast from. And don't forget to follow us so that you never miss an episode. Why not share us with a friend, acquaintance, or colleague? And follow us across social media on @DiabolicalPod to show all your friends just how cool you really are. Until next time, dear listeners, keep howling at the moon.
Nice.
Very good. But seriously, though, I bought the hippos distracting the werewolves.
I'm only joking. I was tempted myself, but all the questions pissed me off.
How about this? Do you remember this one? It's quite a good one. Damn little cockney werewolves, they're dancing around the street. Them little cockney werewolves got pork pies on their feet.
What the fuck is that?
That's from
Doesn't Dave, isn't it?
from Bugsy, isn't it? Bugsy Halloween special.
No, I just made it up.
If I cut and paste my thing here.
What? Not your penis.
Ooh,
Cut and pasted your penis.
Cut and paste the penis, don't I?
Okay. Yeah,
John Wayne Bobbitt.
I should have. I should have left out part of that other bit before, but never mind.
Why is it still too long?
No, it's fine.
Your penis.
It's a real dangler.
Now, there we go. So, am I keeping the scores for this series, or do you want to keep doing it, Gaz? I'll happily take the scores.
Someone else take it for a change.
Let's vote. I vote Gaz.
Yeah, guys. Did a good job of it last time.
Fine.
Blue moon, I saw you standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own.